Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Suttala,
And I'm Paul DeFranco.
and we're here with a new episode of Holistic Pathways. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Just a reminder, if it's the first time you're catching our broadcast, you are welcome to contribute, at least during the beginning and the end. And you can do so by just making a comment on the Facebook feed or YouTube or Periscope, wherever you happen to be watching from, and we'll be able to pull your comments up on air and be able to talk to them. But this is Paul DeFranco, an HHH affiliate, with a little dose of peace and calm for the week.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and we'd love to reiterate, we'd love to hear from you. Questions, comments, whatever you got.
Great. So I know I already have a little bit of a spoiler. You told me what you were going to do, but why not uh, kind of give us a little bit about your background first for people who are just catching this for the first time? Because we just recently started doing these streams, and then kind of what you do to help people kind of find that peace and calm in their lives.
Mm. Well, quite a few things, actually. But if I had to summarize it, I would say teaching meditation. And the exercise we're going to do today is used in my meditation classes, instruct yoga. And the exercise today, you guessed it, is often used in yoga. That's where I borrowed it from. And I also do hypnotherapy, and I don't use it in hypnotherapy, but I guess I could if I managed to work it in somehow.
And just from my perspective, knowing Paul, getting to know him better over the last couple of months since he's been an affiliate, he is a master of being able to take different things and blending them together that they all have the synergistic benefits. So he just had a whole thing called Movement and Meditation, an 8-week series he had at the center, kind of thrown off a little bit by the pandemic. We ended up going virtual with the classes. But he had this wonderful ability to give this very light meditation practice at the beginning, or not meditation, movement practice at the beginning, to prepare the body for meditation, and everything just kind of played with each other and was very synergistic. And that's where I really think he excels, is being able to take these things from different places and blend them together to create a greater experience for people.
Huh. Funny you should use the B word, blend. So I was reading today a little bit about smoothies, and the author of this piece used the word blenderize, which
Blenderize.
I've never heard before. He must have invented it. And I thought, I like that word, blenderize. And maybe now I know why I like it, because you pointed out that that's a habit that I have, is to blend. Yeah.
I wouldn't call it
I,
a habit. I would call it a gift. You're very good at it. So give yourself some credit.
well, a long, long, long time ago, when I was just out of college, one of the managers that was in my area used to give excellent presentations at work. I used to just sit and take notes every time he talked, because I thought I want to be like that when I grow up. He was quite comical, but he said one time, "If you hear it from me, you're guaranteed to hear good stuff, because I only steal from the best." And I made that I made that my motto. I borrow from the best sources that I can, and sometimes I put my own touch, my own spin to it. But yeah, and I grab from a lot of different places and kind of put it together.
Yeah. That's one of my teachers from Fellowships of the Spirit, the foundational pastor Elaine Thomas, would always say, is take the best and leave the rest. And of course, I did that with everything, and I do kind of similar to what you do, except with sound and other things. But great. So, what do we have in store for everyone tonight?
Well, from, like I mentioned earlier, from the world of yoga, we're going to use a calming breath called Ujjayi breath in Sanskrit, or if you'd rather have it in English, it's ocean breath. Have you heard of that before we met, Hank? Was it
No, well, not before we met. I think you did it once in movement and meditation, and then today's going to be my second exposure to it.
second exposure? Okay. So, sound. You're a sound guy, right?
I am.
Plan words there. Intentional, quite intentional. Sound is important to this breathing, as well as the actual breath exercise. So you need both. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to encourage you not to be like me. I'm going to encourage you to actually try this with us. Not you, Hank, but out in video land. Of course, Hank, I want you to try it too.
Well, I will, but I'll put myself on mute because I don't know if we're going to be synced up or not. So,
Instinct. Okay. So rather than just sitting there and watch, I really think you'll get a lot more out of it if you try it. You know, I started doing yoga by watching it on TV for a couple of years, and it was a good start, but it would have been a lot better if I would have got down on the floor and do it. So don't be like me. Actually try this. You'll like it, I guarantee you. Okay. So it gets its name because that's the sound that we're trying to produce when we breathe, when we do this breath. A little bit about what it's great for: clearing phlegm in you. It's great if you're really feeling rocked and kind of like your mind's racing. This is a good breath. It's almost instant calming. I use it in my meditation classes as a technique. I offer it as one of many techniques to help people bring themselves in that space where they can sit and meditate. And that's one of the things that I hear in my entry-level classes. I can't sit. I can't sit. My mind's racing. And this is one of the things that's like a instant tranquilizer. Well, maybe about 2 minutes, but it's quick. Also great for the digestive system, strengthening the nervous system. Can't say too many things about this breath. Well, I'll say one more thing. If it were if it were available in a pill form, there'd probably be people wrapped around the drugstore waiting to buy it. It's that good.
and
Good news is you don't have to buy
curious. Is there any color associations with the breath that we're going to do, or any points of like energy centers that it's affiliated with, or is it just strictly the breath itself and the yoga teachings?
So I don't use color with it, but that doesn't mean that you can't. Maybe I just haven't gotten there yet. I haven't stolen off the right person yet. Maybe I should watch you do it.
No, well, the reason I say that is in the Q'ero tradition of Peru, we have these 5 energy centers called Nawis, and the one energy center for the water is at the tailbone for Mama Unu or Mama Kocha, which would be Mother Ocean. And so if one wanted to play with color and an energy center, that would be where to pull in as you're breathing, like the energy from the water through the tailbone. Just something to play with maybe. On the replay, do it the way Paul does it this time, but then go back on the replay and do it one time, just pulling in the energy through that Nawi energy center and see what your experience might be.
That's an interesting idea. So this is a little topic, but do those 5 centers that all match up with the 7 chakra, the yogic centers?
Your audio started cut out a little bit, Paul.
How's that? I'm going to
Yeah,
move.
much better. Yep.
Yeah. Do those, it's funny, it only moved about an inch and you were cutting out. Do those 5 centers that you just talked about correlate at all with the yogic chakra 7 centers?
No, they're totally different. They're more like eyes of energy. So like a camera lens, how it opens and closes, it's how energy comes into or expresses out of the field, where a chakra is more like the energy distribution of how the energy flows throughout the body and being. So they're very different, but they do work together, I believe. But they're very different. But the 5 that we mainly use in this tradition would be the Mama Unu, which would be the tailbone, Pachamama, which is the navel. Of course, you can't see. I'm putting my hands on these places, but you can't see because the camera's not there. And then Inti Taita, which would be the sun, which would be the heart. And then Waira and Mama Kia both come into the throat. That's Mother Moon and Wind. And then you have Wiracocha, which is like the creator energy.
Interesting. I hadn't heard of those yet. So as I sat here and thought about your question a little bit, I guess where this affects me physically in the body is right in here in the sinus area, the throat, obviously, and then the diaphragm area. So that's kind of the way I would look at it using the non-Peruvian shaman.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I mean, that's from the East and this is from South America, so they're completely different worlds, but I find that it's very interesting that they come up with very similar, methodologies in terms of describing energy centers and things. It's a little similar, but it's different. And they say in our tradition anyway, the differences where there's the differences is the gold. That's where the real magic is, that you like not to relate away something because it's similar to what you have, but to embrace the differences and see what the gold and the magic is and the differences. Very
Okay,
cool.
great.
And we just have a couple of people chiming in. They're saying, "You had me at brain racing. I'm in." we got Magic Mike giving us a unicorn saying, "I think, well, Magic Mike, hopefully you're not driving and you pull over to do this breathing exercise because I know he's normally driving." And we also have Kyra saying hello and just saying she is looking for one of the floor velvet cushions that you used at Lilydale. She's online looking for one, so maybe afterwards you can drop her a note and let her know where she can find one.
Oh, maybe the Zutan. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of cushions, this one is best done cross-legged. So if you need to find yourself a cushion, as Kyra is, now'd be a good time to get up and do that. Good firm cushions, and maybe stack 2 or 3 of them. The higher up you go, the easier it is to maintain this meditative posture. So, by way of explanation, have we tantalized them long enough? Can we?
Yeah, we can go. There's 2 more people saying hello. You got Tracy saying hello, Paul DeFranco.
Hi, Trace.
And Nanette thanking you for doing these. It's always very informational. Thank you everyone for showing up and being present. And please share the video if you feel inspired to afterwards. Make sure you help us spread the contagion of consciousness in the world.
Can they do a watch party now if they're on?
If you're on Facebook, you can start a watch party. If you're on YouTube, I don't think you can, but definitely on Facebook, you can start a watch party, and then it lets all your friends know what you're watching and kind of invites them into the experience as well. So
you know where I stole that watch party thing from?
Who? Where?
I was watching you the other day.
Oh.
See, I learned quickly. I'm like a kid. You have to watch what you say around me. I'll copy it.
Yeah, you definitely. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. That's a great way to help spread the word and everything. And but no matter what, even if it's afterwards, however you choose to kind of spread the word, we certainly appreciate it to help get the information out there, because this is stuff that's not just informational in nature. It's things that really help people's physiology and their mental and physical well-being and spiritual well-being. So it's you're doing your part to pay that forward for what we're doing. So we really appreciate it.
Okay, now, boss. All right. So this is done by constricting the throat a little bit. Just kind of bring it inward towards itself, so that when you breathe in and breathe out, you're getting an air rushing sound happening there. And you just have to try it. I'm going to bring the mic up close so that you can hear it as best we can on this medium here. So on the inhale, it's going to be, well, through the nose. And then, now, once you've established that pattern for about 2 minutes, then close the mouth and try to make the same sound with the mouth closed that you did when it's open. So it might be something like this. Okay, so it sounds a little bit different, but it's similar. So doing it with the mouth open is kind of like having the training wheels on. And once you've established that pattern and you've got it, you can kick off the training wheels and go from there, okay? So we're going to go probably about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm going to have Hank be the timekeeper here. Okay. I think this is best done with, I surprised you a little bit on that one, didn't I?
No, it's okay. Well, is there, at the end of the time, is there a particular way you want me to cue you that the time is up?
Yeah, that would be good. Do you have a little bell or something nearby? I surprised you with this. I don't have.
I got a crystal ball.
That'll work.
Yeah.
That'll work. Okay. I didn't think about bringing one here. So let's get going. Ready? Here we go. keep breathing this way. And I'd like you to just check in with yourself now. See how quiet or still your mind is, and then check in when we're done. All right, so I'm going to invite you to close your mouth now and just continue the same breathing pattern. Are you feeling it? So at some point, I felt my breath rate actually slowing down a bit. Sometimes people refer to this too as loud breath. And I think when I'm with a group of people instructing, I think I call it that just so they won't feel self-conscious about making noises in a room full of people. Sometimes I call it Darth Vader breath too, for obvious reasons. So did you try it, Hank? Are you working the controls?
I tried it just for, I didn't do it the whole time because I also had to go get the crystal ball.
Oh,
I didn't have it handy. So, but it was an important piece. Isn't that cool? I got little decals for it.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah.
It looks like it has a handle on it.
It does.
Wow.
It's a handball.
Oh, don't know that I've seen that. You with that one anyway. So, if anybody out there has any questions or comments or would like to share their experience, we'd love to hear from you now. Yeah, I was running around a lot the last couple of 3 hours, and I feel myself settled in just from 5 minutes.
And that says something too. If you do something like this and when I started my meditation practice, I would always start with 3 deep breaths. And I would find that if I ever got knocked off center, all I would have to do is take 3 deep breaths and I instantly shifted into the space that I would go when I would meditate, because you start to set an anchor for yourself. So doing something like this once a day or a couple times a day or whatever the case is, it gives you an anchor, something that you can use to trigger yourself to go back to that relaxed state when you were doing the practice. Even if you don't have time to do the full 5 minutes, sometimes just a breath or two is all that you need, because you've trained your body and the physiology to shift to that when you do the breath like that. So
that's a great point. That is a really great point,
yeah.
forming a positive. Hi, Kathy.
Yeah, she came in right after as we started. Her Kim was saying hello to, and Annette was just saying that it was very relaxing for the mind and the body.
Great. Yeah, good for the body, good for your body, good for the soul. There's an expression in there that I was trying to think of, but it didn't come out right.
It's all right.
So, yeah.
But if anybody has any questions, or the other thing that you could also throw out is if you want to see Paul offer something specific around breathing, yoga, meditation, anything like that, you can certainly make a comment and we can plan for that in a future stream. We're planning to do this once a week. And the other thing, I haven't asked Paul's permission yet, but I'm assuming he's going to see us. For one of my other broadcasts, we have started to put everything on iTunes and some of the audio download podcasts. So if Paul's up for that too, we'll be making this available as an audio version that you can go back and replay at your leisure as well.
Sure, I'm in.
Yeah, cool. Now I got it officially on video. He can't take it back.
Yeah, so if you'd like to see anything on this little Holistic Pathways segment, or since the studio is open, we're going to be back at some point offering things live rather than all virtually.
Yep. One thing that you and I could do is doing a little bit of yoga and bowls and trying our hand at doing like kind of blenderating. What was that word you had earlier?
Blenderize.
We're just gonna blenderize what we do.
Yeah, that's what you do in a bowl too, right? You mix things up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we also talked about maybe blending guided meditations with your bowl.
Definitely.
Sound as well. It's really hard to do both. I've tried to do both, talk and it's like doing this. It's tough. It's good to have two people.
Well, I'll tell you, one of our most well-received movement and meditations was one where I was just playing some light bulbs in the background, and I finally got a condenser microphone, and if I can get it to actually work, it should pick up the bowls really nicely to have someone else do a talk over. So a lot of cool, fun things coming up at HHH.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Very cool.
So we're back next Wednesday at 7.
Yep, next Wednesday at 7
Eastern Time.
7 Eastern Standard Time. In case, because who knows, you might be watching this and not be local, and that's awesome. And all the more important that we ask you to please share it with someone that you know that will find benefit to what Paul offered tonight.
Would appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking part. And thank you, Hank, for hosting this wonderful forum. Couldn't do without you.
Yep, you're very welcome. Please don't forget to click the link to YouTube and subscribe if you like. And there's also a link if you do want to offer a contribution for Paul. We call that Aini in shamanism, just divine reciprocity. If you'd like to do that, great. But also sharing the video, that's also reciprocity. So whatever you're called to do, if you're called to do it, it's certainly not required, but we certainly appreciate your contribution to help spread the word and support what we're doing. Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Oh, did you have something else, Paul?
Good night.
No, good night. Bye, everyone.
Whatever time of day it is.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.